but the shoots withered and rotted away. It was, in short, a London childhood. They had never seen mountains or waterfalls, of course, but they lived securely in their world of brick and stone. They recognised by instinct the frontiers to their territory. A street further north or further south was not visited. It was not welcoming. But within their own bounds, they were entirely at home. They knew every dip in the pavement, every front door, every cat that prowled along the gutter or slumbered on the windowsill. They knew, or at least recognised, most of the people they saw. There were few strangers in the neighbourhood. They lived among familiar faces. Any stranger who happened to walk through the neighbourhood would not have come away with any distinct impression. It was a council estate, built in the 1920s, of 2-storey red brick terraces. That was all. One row of houses was interrupted by some small shops, a newsagent, a hairdresser, a butcher among them, and on the corners of the narrow streets were general stores or public houses. There was a fish and chip shop and a bakery in the street where the Hanways lived. The district smelled at various times of dust and of rain, of bonfire smoke and of petrol. Its sounds were not of cars, but of trams and milk floats, with a distinct but distant roar of London somewhere around the corner. It had the forlorn calm of a poor neighbourhood, yet for the 3 brothers it repaid the closest possible attention. It was the source of curiosity, of surprise, and sometimes of delight. The centre of their lives was very small, but it was brightly lit, and all around stretched the endless streets of which they were largely unaware. Their first memories of childhood differed. Harry recalled how he had managed to walk unaided across the carpet of the small living room, praised and encouraged by his parents sitting on a yellow sofa. Daniel, between his brothers in age, remembered being taken out of a pram and held up to the sunlight, in which he seemed to soar. Sam's first memory was of falling and cutting his leg on a shard of broken glass. He had cried when he saw the blood. Had their respective memories ever come together, they might have had some understanding of their shared past, but they were content with these fragments. They attended the same primary school, a red brick building set beside a grey brick church where the signs for boys and girls were carved in Gothic script above 2 portals. The school smelled of soap and carbolic disinfectant, but the classrooms were always cluttered and dirty with a faint patina of dust upon the shelves and windows. The Hanway boys were in separate classes according to their age, and in the playground they did not care to fraternise. Harry was the most gregarious, and thus the most popular of the brothers. He laughed readily, and had a circle of acquaintances whom he easily amused. Daniel had 2 chosen friends, with whom he was always deep in consultation. They collected bus numbers and cigarette cards, which they would compare and contrast. Sam, the youngest, seemed content to remain on his own. He did not seek the company of the other children, and they, in turn, left him alone. But Sam had a temper. One morning at the gate of the school, a boy remarked on the fact that Sam had torn his school jacket. Sam struck out at him with his fist and knocked him to the pavement. His 2 brothers witnessed the event and adjusted to him accordingly. Harry Hanway was 10, Daniel Hanway was 9, and Sam Hanway was 8, when their mother disappeared. They returned late one afternoon from school and found an empty house. Harry made sandwiches of cheese and pickle. They sat around the kitchen table and waited. No one came. Their father, Philip, was employed as a night watchman in the city. He always left the house in the afternoon, stopped at a pub on Camden High Street, and then took the bus to the financial headquarters where he worked. He would put on his dark blue uniform, kept in a small locker off the main hall, and then sit behind an imposing central desk. He always had with him pencils and paper. After a few minutes of concentration, he would begin writing, slowly and hesitantly. Then he would stop altogether. For the rest of the night, he would smoke and stare into space. He had been called up for the army in the 3rd year of the war, but in fact travelled no farther than Middlesbrough, where he was assigned to the barracks as a clerk of munitions. He remained in that post until the end of the war, when, with army pay in his pocket, he returned to London. He had been brought up in Ruislip, but he had no intention of returning. Ruislip was the place where he had waited impatiently for his real life to begin.